My name is Christopher Jones and I'm a professional skateboarder from Wales. I started skateboarding from seeing someone in my street ask for a skateboard for my birthday and then managed to get one, and it started from there. As I kind of progressed, I started going down like local skate parks and meeting a few of the skaters from Bridgend, and then we started filming for like a little local scene video. Through the process of making that video, I kind of met a lot of the guys from Cardiff and started skating with them. When I first started university, I got on Nike. I nearly failed my first year of university, going out partying a lot, not really applying myself, not really kind of caring, and kind of always just thought, you know, academia and these things were never really kind of for me. I thought it was always like kind of beyond my ability. I had quite low confidence when it came to that. Something kind of shifted, and in my last 2 years, I think I just went through this drive of kind of wanting to try and prove to my father that I could actually achieve something and I wasn't a complete idiot. Getting approval was a big thing for me with his relationship, and then unfortunately, my dad had an accident in my last year of university when I was sitting my final exams. He fell down the stairs and he experienced a very traumatic brain injury. That was 9 years ago. Even to this day, he's in a very comatose state. He's in a care home. He can't look after himself. He doesn't really know who I am properly anymore, I'd say. There's good days, there's bad days. That moment, I think, was a bit of it had a big impact on me without me realizing at the time. From not getting that approval, I think I always kind of looked for approval from others. And then from doing so, started caring too much about maybe what other people thought. I experienced a concussion when I was on a trip in Barcelona on this aisle trip. That also played in with kind of my health anxieties. Being around an experience like my father, I became obsessed afterwards with fear of that injury that I'd sustained had impacted and impinged and affected my way of being, or my behavior, or my quality of life. Having had a concussion before, I was oh, this is something that, can happen within skateboarding. Obviously, there's you're not wearing a helmet when you're street skating, and there was a fear then of me kind of wanting to try gnarly things or do things because I was scared that I'd end up like my dad. I was on a holiday with some friends. I experienced this panic attack. It was kind of triggered because I was helping my friend make breakfast, and I just remember at the time kind of trying to help him do some simple tasks, just chopping the veg, cooking the eggs or whatever. And I just remember finding it really hard and finding it I couldn't do it. I was just I can't focus and I can't pay attention. And he made a bit of a joke, being what's wrong with you? Is only half your brain working today or something? But it triggered something in me, this deep insecurity of kind of my ability or my potential, by nothing really. But at the same time, it was so scary. I was what's happening to me? I'd never experienced this a panic attack before. At the time, I was just really worried and concerned what had caused this, and like I said, I thought it was something really physical at first. I thought it was my thyroid. I was Google searching, which is one of the worst things you can do when you're feeling anxious and worried about something, is type in your symptoms into Google. My self-esteem and my confidence was put at such an all-time low. It was and then I kind of started to feel the effects and suffer from a form of a depression, perhaps. I really found it hard to socialize. I didn't want to leave my bedroom. I wouldn't get out of bed until 1 o'clock, which isn't me. I'm usually quite I get up early and to do things. I'm quite an active person usually. I was probably just gonna have to move back to Wales and live with my mum, and just I wouldn't be able to do anything with my life. I'd just been rendered incapable of doing anything. And it was a horrible time, and even though I had so many friends that were comforting me and being so nice and helpful, it was I was in a bit of a pit, a bit of a hole. It was very kind of out of character for me. I'd had wobbles before then, perhaps, which I didn't recognize. Around that time, a friend suggested that I saw a therapist. I started seeing a CBT therapist. I found it was helpful at the time because that was around when I was finding it hard to like get out of bed, and just like my behavior was really affected. Rather than like kind of avoiding social situations, it kind of like allowed me to kind of work through that and to still kind of like live my life essentially. Not even that long, maybe like 3 months. I thought I was like completely fine. I was like, oh, I'm fixed. I kind of stopped doing therapy. For like a short period of time, I did feel fine then. I kind of went about my life in my usual way, and I kind of felt happy and confident, and things were like relatively fine. It wasn't too long until like obviously things started to get bad again, and like I think my thoughts of like a quick fix, they weren't true obviously. Like it takes a lot of work, and it's a consistent thing. You have to work on your mental health. It was good in just changing my behaviors, which were so bad at that time after that trip to France, but it didn't necessarily like help me really like myself. Became a bit like disillusioned perhaps with therapy. I thought, oh, it wouldn't work for me. Neglected actually kind of the personal development that I needed to do. I'd like, live in different cities. Like I lived in Berlin for a bit, and I kind of found that like just living a more transient, less grounded life, I kind of was able to escape those like negative thoughts of myself for some time. I started to get like straight away these like negative thought patterns they returned. So then I decided like I needed to get some more therapy. I think there was more work I needed to do really. Yeah, I feel like with person-centered therapy, it's more kind of like, rather than being goal-based and kind of, kind of like changing the way of my behaviors, it's more focused on just like kind of me more becoming like congruent and more genuine to myself, and understanding myself better, and being more kind of aware of perhaps the things I do find uncomfortable, or things I do like, and the things I struggle with, and being more accepting of them. I'm very fortunate in my situation, is that I don't really have like many people putting loads of pressure on me. On a skate trip, like, you're allowed your own space and time in those moments, and it's remembering that. Like saying no is like perfectly okay. Educate and being more mindful of those telltale signs, and offering the support in which you can offer. Having this moment and this breakdown and these like negative thoughts, and like going to CBT and starting there perhaps, which was like a beginning point of me acknowledging that I was like suffering from mental health issues, whereas like previously I'd like neglected them or masked them and covered them up. Everyone is different, so obviously what works for me might not work for other people, but like it's all relative really to the individual, and there are issues which are more severe obviously, and like deserve more treatment and more care and more time, but it doesn't necessarily neglect like that your difficulties matter, and that your difficulties should be addressed, and they deserve to be addressed. You don't need to earn the right to feel bad. Like if that's a feeling, which is like, and if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel, that's like perfectly okay.